going on, everyone? Welcome to the Rumpier Sports MLB Swing for the Fences. We're here to break down the Friday MLB 13 game slate. So we have a big slate. Obviously, a lot of options. We'll get to all that. I'm joined by my guys, Gary and DC. We got to go to DC first. If you've been a follower of DC in the past, you know how sharp the guy is on Twitter, and he's had a lot of highlights. But man, I got to say, the last couple days, towards the top of the list for me, just going to town, going to work, getting the job done. DC, just phenomenal job on Twitter the last couple of days.
It's been fun. And I've received some pushback. Mr. Jonathan Bales, well-respected member of the community, pushed back a little bit. I've got this before with Siege as well. People saying, "Oh, why are you bullying Siege? Why are you bullying Joe Hoka?" I'll say this: I get the take, but I'm never coming after the person. I'm coming after the tweets. Right? Twitter is a public platform. You put some bullshit out there, it deserves to be called out sometimes, and that's all it was. Yeah. So I've never met Joe Hoka. I have nothing against him or really anybody. I don't really, have any true grudges out there. But so sometimes it just goes too far. It needs to be called out, and the parody. I know a lot of people got a laugh out of that. I certainly did. I don't know. It's like I had to turn it off. I woke up this morning and I still had it in me. I was like tweeting from bed as Joe Hoka. I did have to turn it off around 10, 11 a.m. today. Had a UFC show, video with Ali Mack, this show coming up. So I had to get into to grind mode, but certainly a fun 24 hours.
Yeah. So it was phenomenal work on your part. Obviously, I think I followed the guy at one point. Had to obviously unfollow him. Now I realize why I did, but I pulled it up, and it's just like the self-fulfilling, like, I'm better than you. If you want to be right, do it my way. Like the Vetri dude that said he made $1 million on YouTube, the same mindset where he's like, I'm better than everyone. I'm making $1 million. No one's making a fucking $1 million on YouTube doing DFS content. I'll promise you that. Like,
well, it's like, the basic thing, he's tweeting like he's got an empire. And It's like, dude, you got like 20,000 followers on Twitter and you're tweeting about how to create this internet empire. It's like, well, I don't even know what content you do. I just
correct. It's a tough scene out there. I mean, there were some highlights of the thread. I mean, the one where don't forget to monetize your brand on all available platforms. Here's an example of the TikTok video I created that already netted me nearly a minute. Just phenomenal work on your part. I mean, there were some good comments in those threads too. I want to find the one that was so good. Damn, I can't find it. I'll dig it up. It's real good. Yeah, there's some good stuff. Gary, any thoughts on this before we get into the baseball?
I can't believe his girl let him put that TikTok on her TikTok. Like you can't even download TikTok.
So we never actually, she didn't post the video. She was trying to make them. If you watch the video, you can tell I had a few beverages in me.
No way.
Not DC.
There are some that video is like a little bit embarrassing, but there are some far more embarrassing non-posted TikTok videos on my girlfriend's phone that I can never, we can never break up because those might see the light of day. So I'm in it for life at this point.
Yeah, instead of like sex kids at stake, it's your TikTok videos. Good stuff. And then the one guy found that comment by Miley Virus goes, he's Sal Vetri minus the eyebrows. Just classic comment. I just love to see it. It's phenomenal work. I mean, and never know. I mean, are you done, or are you moving on, or you got more in the chamber?
Well, like I said, I had to get into a little bit of grind mode this afternoon. Had some work to get done. But there's a good chance after baseball walk that we load it back up and get to work tonight.
And K Fallick, I don't know what this comment is. Damn it, I was hoping Gary would be hosting today. That's kind of mean, isn't it? Maybe I'm missing something, but
K Fallick, guess what? I'm not a host. I'm not good at that, so I'm just going to stick with giving great winners.
Yeah, experts. These are the experts, and I'm the host today. I'm not
with my nooner.
Although Friday is my day, so maybe I should be on the other side. Back-to-back Fridays with the shippers. But my guys here are going to lead me in the right direction. That's for sure. Before we move on, though, please do us that favor. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. Helps us to continue to bring you guys these free shows basically on a daily basis. So hit the like, hit the subscribe. We have a big slate, so not too much more chit-chatter. I did want to bring up one point though on the slate, which is very, I think, vital, obviously. And I'm going to go to you first, Gary, on this. The pricing of the Cincinnati Reds, over the course of the last few years, the sites have gotten pretty sharp with, going to Coors Field and just bumping the guys up, regardless of how bad the offense is. In the past, we've seen the Marlins come here and their guys are 5K. Today, don't know why. DraftKings said, all right, the Reds are coming to Coors Field and we're not going to change their prices at all. Joey Votto, 2.8K, Tommy Pham, 2.7K. Basically, their entire lineup is going to be, majority of them are going to be under 3K. Gary, what are your thoughts on the pricing of the Cincinnati Reds bats here today?
I mean, they're priced like they've been producing nothing for the most part. I'm seeing 24-mile-an-hour winds blowing in from left field too. I don't know how much that really affects.
Well, the total has come down. It has come down. I think it was 10.5. It's down to 10.
I was going to bring that up because I'm 10 miles away from Coors Field here in Denver, and I'm looking out my window right now. Like, I had two earlier videos to record, and it was to the point. This has never happened, where I was like trying to close windows all throughout the house because I could hear the wind whistling. There's garbage cans like strewn all over the street, right outside the window. So again, this is like the strongest winds that I've seen here, and we do have strong winds fairly often. If I'm not saying this is for sure, but if those types of winds are blowing in from left field or center field at Coors Field, like the ball's not flying out of there. Like Coors Field does not have short fences. The humidifier has lowered the home run rate. The deadened ball has lowered the home run rate. And I'm just telling you, no, you're not hitting home runs through that wind if that's the case. I'm not saying maybe it dies down or the direction isn't quite right, but if we can confirm that those winds are howling in from center field, it's not going to be like, of course there could be walks or base hits, but the ball will not be flying very far. Right? It's just a ferocious wind right here right now.
Yeah, and the key indicator is, hey, as we always talk about, I know Big T's big on this. Did it move the total? Did the total move? The total has moved, and I believe it's come down a half, maybe a full run. It's sitting at 10. I know for sure I saw it at 10.5 this morning.
Yeah.
Potentially could have been at 11 as well. I'm not sure, but it has come down, and 10 is a very low number for Coors Field. The only time you see Coors Field games under 10 is if we have aces on the mound, or at least one ace. We don't have aces on the mound. Hunter Green, Senzatella, not high quality big name pitchers. So the wind is obviously playing a factor here in this game, I'd imagine, because of the total, the decrease in the total here for sure.
Yep.
Let's go to the pitching and talk about it. We'll break it into two tiers: upper tier, lower tier, go 8K and above. Toss it to you first, Gary. I mean, just at first glance, and I've dug in quite a bit, not seeing a lot of cheap bats or cheap pitchers on the slate that I have interest in. So I think this top tier is very important to break down and kind of digest. So let me start with you. What are your thoughts here at 8K and above?
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean, we got Nestor Cortez, who's been kind of, I mean, his numbers have looked really good. Casey, I don't think they're striking out a lot recently. Yeah, their bats haven't done much, but I can't pay 10K for them. Yeah. McGill also is 9,800. Like, no, thank you. Yeah, Philadelphia is just a tough lineup to navigate through. I do have a lot of interest in Lucas Giolito, 9,500. He's going to be popular. I'm seeing like 35% on him right now. So I definitely have interest there. And then going down, the next guy I would have interest in would be maybe some Alex Wood. Not really thrilled about it. I won't have too much. I'm playing 75 lineups on DraftKings. I'll have a smidge in my MME set. And also Aaron Nola. I mean, this on paper, current year, it doesn't look like a good matchup because the Mets haven't been striking out a lot, but I think he has like 270 plate appearances against this team, and he's striking them out 29% of the time. He's got like a 320 expected WOBA against them, which is pretty good. I like the price, 8,500. He's coming off a good performance. Definitely like him. Also going down, Dylan Bundy against Tampa Bay. He's not going to be owned at all. He's also been pitching really well. I like him. I'm seeing 1% ownership on him, so it's not very hard to get above on him. And then the clear play of the slate Frankie Montas, I mean, he's 8,100 on DraftKings. He's 10.2K on FanDuel. I mean, he's 2K too cheap in this spot. His underlying metrics look fantastic this season. I think he's got like something like a 15% swing and strike rate over the first 3 games. I'll probably be way over the field on this. I'll probably have like 70% in my MME tonight.
Yeah, Montas K prop is sitting at like 6.5, and typically guys that are like 9K range, have that 6.5K prop. So definitely some value there. Should be pretty highly owned. I mean, not super high owned. I mean, there's enough guys here that are going to get some ownership, but Montas clearly a very strong play on this slate. DC, what's standing out to you for you in this upper tier?
Yeah, I'll address the top 2 price guys on DraftKings first. Nestor Cortez, Tyler McGill. I'm with Gary. I think Gary and I, we've been in Discord all day talking baseball with the members, and it seems like we're probably going to be mostly on the same page today. But Cortez, he's got a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. He's like a modern day Jamie Moyer for old school baseball fans, something like that, where it's just, left-handed Zach Greinke of a couple years ago, where yes, the run prevention is probably going to be there. I'm just not buying him as an ace, right? On a 13-game slate as the highest price pitcher. The Royals lost Adalberto Mondesi, who was free strikeouts over the last, over the first month of the season. He's gone. Yeah, I just don't see it with Cortez. I'm not paying that price. I know the Royals have a low team total, and I don't even necessarily disagree with that part of it, right? The Yankees have a strong bullpen behind him. Cortez, he does seem like someone, Gary, who's going to pitch above what the numbers say he should in terms of ERA, right? His expected ERA is always going to be probably higher than his actual ERA, because he's a guy who can like bear down and get out of jams, a smart pitcher, but he's just not a 10K pitcher. So pretty easy fade for me there on a slate where I really do like some of these other guys. Tyler McGill has a big arm, a lot of hype behind him early on. I was in on him last year. I was in on him for most of these starts this year. I still like him as a pitcher, but I think he's a little overhyped right now, frankly, at 9,800. Like, for me, there's no question that Aaron Nola is the better long-term skills pitcher than Tyler McGill, right? So I just don't see that price being justified either. The guys I do like, Lucas Giolito, wind blowing in Chicago. He's been excellent through 2 starts, dominant. There was talk in spring of his velocity being up. We haven't seen that so far, but I think he's pitched in the cold 2 days in a row, has been really, really effective in those 2 starts, much more so, frankly, than the numbers even indicate. And it's going to be tough hitting environment in Chicago today. So I think Giolito's got a chance to deliver. We also know Tony La Russa, obviously old school manager. He loves letting Giolito go deep into games, to the like one of the few guys to the point where you're almost like, take him out. You're letting him go too long. Whereas like almost every pitcher in the league, you're like begging for the manager to send him out there one more inning, right? To try to get 5 or 6 more fantasy points or whatever. So I love Giolito. Alex Wood seems super safe against Washington and San Francisco. Again, maybe not the most upside, but going to get the job done. I like Aaron Nola, 8,500, tough strikeout matchup, but just a really good pitcher who I think is underpriced. Frankie Montas, though, Gary kind of hit on everything. I mean, he's been dominant. He's going to go deep in the game. And with the way baseball is playing right now, with the dead in baseball, he's pitching in Oakland. Like, he's got like he can just pound 97-mile-per-hour fastballs in the zone all game long. He doesn't really have anything to worry about. I mean, it's like the only real guy who could take him. I mean, obviously Jose Ramirez could do it, Franmil, but man, he should be able to attack the strike zone relentlessly. I've talked about this with a lot of pitchers. Guys with a good fastball right now are sitting pretty because you don't have to worry as much about the home run, and you can just rely on that pitch. You don't have to worry so much about deception, right? If the home runs come mostly from fastballs, and the guys with the good ones, that's how they could get beat. Right now, it's not that much of a concern. So I really do like Frankie Montas, but my favorite pitcher of the day, once you take into account ownership, is Tanner Houck for the Boston Red Sox. We've been talking about him all day in the Discord. He's going to come in long relief for Rich Hill, who will start in Baltimore. but man, Tanner Houck was just dominant last year, specifically against right-handed hitters. Baltimore is full of them. Almost all their good bats outside of Cedric Mullins do swing from the right side. The fences are back in Baltimore, obviously. I tweeted earlier, this is just an insane stat. The Orioles pitchers have pitched 56 innings in Camden Yards in Baltimore and given up 1 home run this entire year. Almost hard to believe, but it's true. And Tanner Houck is going to benefit from that as well. Even if he gives up a hard hit ball, it's probably going to be caught in the outfield, frankly, with how the Camden Yards is playing right now. I'm seeing Houck. This morning, Gary, when we were talking about it, we had him at 2% on SaberSim. He's up to like 6 or 7 now. I don't know if some people are leaking the Discord information out to the public, but I think Tanner Houck's going to be in there in the 3rd, 4th, maybe the 5th inning at worst. And my guess is he finishes that game. I think he's going to mow down the Orioles. I think he's got a chance to approach double-digit strikeouts. He's not going to be owned. These are the plays that get me excited about DFS. I love every slate, but specifically these ones where I have a low owned pitching option that I really believe in. And Tanner Houck is one of them. So yeah, you'll see him on most of my teams tonight.
There's no way he gets any sort of ownership. I mean, he's still labeled as out on DK. Out. Anyone that's labeled as out is getting no ownership.
And if you want to play him on FanDuel, you got to unclick the probable starters button. Yeah. So he's going to be low owned over there as well.
Yeah, very low owned. One more note about Montas. I believe it was last game against Texas. He had 90 pitches after 6 innings. And they brought him back out to face another.
He's a beast, man. Yeah.
And there's not many guys right now in baseball that 90 pitches after 6, already a good start, but they're going to bring the guy back out there. I mean, he's just going to go, and that's huge for fantasy purposes. He did give up a hit, and then they yanked him, but 96 pitches. If he's rolling he's going to go to 100, and that's huge. 8.1K at home in a pitcher's park. I mean, he's a phenomenal play, phenomenal price tag. Once you go down into this next tier, though, it gets pretty dicey. And for me personally, there is not a ton that stands out. I'm going to be very focused on the guys in that top tier that we've already talked about. I think there's 5, maybe 6 guys in play up there. I'm going to try my best to play 2 of those guys. But, for me personally, if I'm coming down in this range, I'm just going all the way down to the Baltimore guy starting tonight. 4K flat, getting called up from the minors where he was phenomenal. Looks like 15 innings pitched, he had a 1.2 ERA, 17 strikeouts. He's rolling in the minors. I'll take my chances with him at 4K if I'm trying to save some money. Gary, I'll go back to you. I mean, is there anyone else below 8K that's standing out to you?
I'm gonna get laughed at again because Draft Cheat laughed at me earlier. I thought this was a sneaky guy, but I'm on the anti Milwaukee kick. I will have some Kyle Hendricks.
You're still doing that?
I'm still doing it. It's served me well. Everybody jumped for joy when McCutchen hit that bomb yesterday.
Gary, you stuck with the anti-Milwaukee kick longer than I am. You stick with a company in the DFS.
I mean, it's 162 days of no Milwaukee in my lineups. It's going to be fun.
I thought I had it yesterday. It's my favorite team yesterday. McCutchen gets up there and just drills it. I said, "Here we go." It was my favorite.
And Jana strikes out 10 dudes.
Yeah, but I guess it's every offense. No one's doing anything, obviously. Yeah.
He's already faced Milwaukee once, and he put up 18 DraftKings points. I'll take that at 7,400 all day. I'll have just a smidge in MME, and like you said, the Bradish kid. I'll probably have about 20% in my MME set, but nobody else down here for me.
Yeah. Do you see anything in this below 8K range for you?
Yeah, I'm just done with Kyle Hendricks. I don't think I'm going to be rostering him much anymore. Certainly not on the 13-game slate where I really like a lot of the pitchers. I get it against Milwaukee. That might be the one team I would potentially make an exception. 2 guys down here I want to talk about. You guys talked about the first guy, Kyle Bradish, one of the top prospects for the Orioles. I mentioned how Camden Yards is playing right now. Boston also not hitting really at all at the moment. I mean, Trevor Story has done absolutely nothing. The bottom half of that lineup is terrible. And Bradish got up to, I believe, 87 or 89 pitches, one of those 2, in his last AAA outing. He went 4 innings, 5 innings, and 6 innings. I think it was 67, 74, 89 pitches. He should be a full go here, right? And you never know how someone's MLB debut is going to go. But at 4K, I also posted a tweet in the Discord. And listen, if you like talking baseball or just want distraction from work, man, get in the RPS Discord. We're talking baseball all day, every day. And not just baseball. Sometimes we're just
your employer will love it when you're at work and you're in the Run Pure Sports Discord all day. Join us.
but some people need that, man. I had a normal job
for sure.
I needed a little escape. So a little aside there, but Dodgers former. He either works for the Dodgers or did work for the Dodgers in player development. He tweeted about Bradish, having ace level stuff, which, I've never seen him pitch, but the minor league numbers look good. He's stretched out, good, better matchup, I think, than people think. And, what looks like a pretty smart baseball guy really, really likes his stuff. So you add all that up, hard to not have interest at 4K for me. So I like him. The other guy that's interesting is Hunter Green for Cincinnati. Big total for the Rockies, sitting at 5.1. But like you mentioned, Hoop, it has come down throughout the day. Hunter Green is a kind of a fascinating prospect because he throws harder than just about anybody. In his first two starts, I think his first one, he averaged 100 miles per hour on his fastball. I think in the second one, he averaged 101. But what's really interesting is in his last start against St. Louis, his fastball dropped like 4 or 5 miles per hour, where I think he was sitting at 96. People that aren't as nerdy as me and aren't looking up baseball stats all day, that's like an unheard of drop for a pitcher to lose that many ticks on the fastball from one start to the next. I bring this up because if he's sitting 95, 96, I think he is going to have a load of trouble in Colorado. Because he's very reliant on that fastball. That happens to a lot of pitchers that can throw that hard, right? They don't develop the secondary stuff because they can just throw the fastball by everybody. So if he's that version of Hunter Green, despite like the wind and Colorado and all that, I really think the Rockies are going to do some damage. But we don't know, right? He could easily they said it was a day he just didn't have it. I think they gave him an extra day's rest. If he was hurt, this is their top prospect. They surely wouldn't be throwing him out there. So I think the most likely thing is he bounces back and is pumping in 100 mile per hour fastballs, and the thin air that affects breaking pitches in Colorado, it doesn't affect the fastball, right? Like if you're throwing 100 miles per hour, you can shut down any team at any point. Like especially with some wind behind you, perhaps that can matter too. So I think Hunter Green at 6,500, I'm seeing him below 1%. Listen, if you told me he's throwing 100 miles per hour today, which I think there's a decent chance he will be, I'll play him. I mean, why not? He's another guy that's stretched out. He can give you close to 100 pitches, throwing gas. And it's not like this Rockies lineup is full of some elite guys, right? So I think Hunter Green, depending on which version it is, has a chance. And I won't recommend this often, but watch that first inning if you want, if you're in a legal, or if you just can bet sports, live bet sports. If Hunter Green is throwing 96, but like somehow gets out of the first inning unscathed, bet on the Rockies, because I think it's going to be a rough start for Hunter Green if he doesn't have his good stuff here.
Yeah, very intriguing stuff. I mean, obviously a guy that not anyone is going to be looking to tonight, in Coors, people automatically cross off the pitchers, but those are some solid little nuggets for sure.
It's a situation for me, playing 20 lineups where like you can play Hunter Green on 2 of them, right? And you're 5x, 10x the field. You don't have to go crazy with it, but he's clearly got a chance, in my opinion, at least, to deliver a big outing here.
Yeah. Gary, any final thoughts at pitcher before we dig into some offensive players here?
No, I'm just sticking to those 6 or 7 guys. Like I said, I'm going to be heavy on Montas, 60 to 70, maybe even more percent than that. It's about 20% of the 4K guy, and just mixing in the rest of them.
Yep. All right. Very good. Again, do us that favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We got about 360, between 360 and 400 watching, 120 likes. Let's get to 200 likes. We'll get to the plays of the day at the end of the show. So a nice, even, fair number, 200, and we'll hit up those plays of the day. Let's go to catcher first. And man, I mean, catcher is an absolute disaster. Just pulling this up right now. If you want to spend, I don't see many options. Maybe Grandal at 4-6, Salvador Perez potentially, but man, for me, catcher is going to be a punt position, most likely a position where I'm just including guys in my team stacks. There's, to me, literally nothing that stands out here, so I don't want to waste any time on it. DC, anything standing out to you at catcher?
Honestly, not really. I'm kind of with you. Include your catcher in your stack. Seems like to just
or just fully punt it off. I mean, I don't want to devote any resources to catcher. I mean, it's
I think you can just stick to that rule and you'll be good. The one guy I do like at the top is Salvador Perez, though, just because I think you're going to get some leverage against Nestor Cortez, who did give up an above average amount of home runs to right-handed hitters last year. I think he's the same pitcher he was last year. I don't really believe in him. He's going to get ownership. And, Salvador Perez hit 41 home runs last year. He's got 5 already on the year. He's going to hit a lot of home runs. I think Nestor Cortez is closer to an average lefty than the results he's shown so far. You'll get Perez, I think, pretty low owned. So he's the guy up top, but I have no problem just punting this position off either.
Gary, anything to add here?
Yeah, I mean, Will Smith's popping out a little bit to me. 4,900. His projection is like 2 points better than the next guy from everywhere that I'm seeing. So I definitely like him in Dodger stacks. And then maybe some JT Realmuto. I like a little bit of Philly against McGill today, if paying up like that. And then Sao Paulo, obviously, he's also a good play. Going down, I like Yadi Molina, 3K. Fits nice in the St. Louis stack. I love St. Louis today. And then going all the way down, I like my boy William Contreras at min price. So he's opens up a lot for you today.
Braves guy?
For sure.
Yep, yeah. Braves guy.
Yeah, he's in the lineup. And then whoever catches for the Reds will obviously be.
It's Wilson Contreras' brother, right? He's got some power.
Yep.
Yeah. And then once we get that Reds lineup, we'll have another cheap catcher that you can throw in there. Let's head on over to first base. And, this starts to get to the point where we're going to talk about a lot of Reds guys. They're going to pop as the best values no matter where you're looking, whatever projection site, anywhere is going to tell you to look to the Reds. Joey Votto is 2.8K. He'll be the most popular play at the position, most likely in Coors. After him, I like the guy on the other side, CJ Cron at 5.2. I mean, if people are building lineups and say, okay, I'm going to play Joey Votto at 2.8 or Cron at 5.2, people are going to go to Cron. So I think it's a good spot. I really like Gary's boy, Matt Olson, 4.9K. I think he's a phenomenal play. And then I'm going to play some Anthony Rizzo. I mean, a hot start, lefty. People are going to avoid him because that lefty matchup, but he's been phenomenal to start the year. So just a few guys that I'm kind of looking at here. DC, thoughts at first base?
Yeah, I agree with all that. Matt Olson in particular, he's going to get red hot sooner rather than later. He's not that he's been bad whatsoever. He's been pretty solid, but the underlying metrics for him, I was digging in a little bit on him today. It's coming and it's coming soon for Matt Olson. So if you've been on that train, stay with it because this guy's going to hit a lot of home runs. They got Ronald Acuna back yesterday, not in the lineup tonight, but just stick with Matt Olson and the Braves. I think you're going to be rewarded, perhaps as soon as tonight. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think is going to be a little bit lower owned. Jose Urquidy pitching for Houston. Another guy we've been talking about a little bit in the Discord today. I used to be a fan of him. I thought he had a chance to kind of break out as a second level type ace, but take steps backwards, right? He just kind of looks worse, and I kind of have a less opinion of him every time he's out there. Reverse splits as well has been crushed by right-handed bats, and we know how good Vladdy is. So he's a top play for me, especially when you take into consider ownership. Paul Goldschmidt, a little bit of a slow start to him, but man, those St. Louis right-handed bats, absolutely crushing it this year. I think it was Stevie Boynton that mentioned it in chat. First in isolated power, first in WRC plus, which is just a measure of offensive production against lefties. Bumgarner can't strike anybody out, which is kind of the weakness of St. Louis and Paul Goldschmidt in particular. So yeah, I think Goldschmidt's got a really good chance to do some damage. cheaper guys at the position. I don't know if I'll be going, all the way down here. It does seem like a little bit of a spend position. This Cubs guy, Alfonso Rivas, has been hitting really well. He's 26 or 2,900 against Hauser, but yeah, I think mostly I kind of want to get one of the top dogs here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gary. And I know you're going to be on your boy Matt Olson. That has to be an absolute lock. Outside of Olson, what else is standing out to you at first base?
Yeah, so I like both of the St. Louis first basemen. I mean, Albert Pujols is going to be 1%.
Yeah.
He's 3,500. He's been hitting pretty well this year. I like him and Goldschmidt quite a bit.
One thing about the Cards I did want to mention is never really get much ownership, especially at home. People avoid that ballpark, and I'm with you guys. I think it's a really good spot for these Cardinal bats tonight. And I mean, what ownership? Probably under 10% on a 13-game slate. So I think
I can't remember who was on the show, but someone was, mocking Albert Pujols being in the lineup. Maybe that was like opening day or something. I was like, yeah, it's a bad lefty though. Don't be afraid if Pujols takes him deep. And sure enough, the first at bat,
he hit a dong. Yeah,
like the dude still can crush lefties. Like he can't do anything else on a baseball field. Like slow as shit, can't play defense, can't hit right-handed bats. But you get him a bad lefty, which is Bumgarner, and I mean, he's got a chance. So yeah, I like that call.
What else?
And I also like CJ Crone. I'm full fading the Cincinnati Reds tonight. I just can't do it. If they beat me, they beat me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be playing any of those guys. I mean, I'm seeing pretty low ownership on the Rocky side of the game, so I will have some Rocky stacks. So CJ Crone makes a lot of sense for me there. And also, like DC said, I definitely love me some Vladdy today. But yeah, we hit on the main guys, and I'll be heavy on Matt Olson and the St. Louis guys mainly.
Yeah, I'm in on the Blue Jays for sure. Vlad, and then I got to go back and mention my guy at catcher, Zach Collins, batting. What is he batting? He's batting fifth. I mean, I like now the price is up 4.1K. People aren't going to pay 4.1 for Zach Collins, but he's treated us well. I'll be loyal and definitely stick with him at that catcher position. Second base, the popular guy will most likely, if India's in there batting leadoff, he'll be the popular guy at 3.5K. I like Gleyber Torres. I like the Yankees here, and at 3.3K, he's batting fifth. Tommy Edman, 4.9K. I don't think many people are going to go up to Edman at 4.9. I think he's a great play. Not a ton here. I don't know. Second base is not a super deep position. Gary, we'll stick with you. What are you seeing here in a second?
So everybody's going to call me a homer, but Ozzie Albies batting fifth. I like what they're doing with him. They're leaving him in this five hole.
Your favorite second baseman's a Brave. I would have never guessed.
I know I was going to get crap for it, but I mean, he's batting fifth. I think it's going to get him going here a little bit. It's going to give him a lot more RBI opportunities. 5K. I like him a lot. Tommy Edman, another guy that I'm heavy exposed to at this position. And I also don't mind the Twins here. I mean, the Twins have been on a little run here. I think they're going for 8 or 9 in a row tonight. I think they get the job done. I like some Jorge Polanco at 4,100. And the Dodgers guys, Max Muncy, like the Dodgers quite a bit. But going down here, that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I'm sticking with Edman, Albies, Polanco, Muncy, maybe some Diaz if in Houston stacks. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, the Dodgers, that's the squad. Friday nights, back-to-back Fridays. It's been the Dodgers that have shipped me the cheese. So, I mean, I'm good with these Dodger guys. And a guy like Muncy, lefty, people just avoid lefty no matter what. And I think that is a big mistake. So I like the call on him. DC, what do you got here at second?
Yeah, you guys touched on most of them. I do like Edman up there up top. I'm very, very big on the Yankees today against Chris Bubick. He's just terrible. I mean, like he's not quite as bad as his numbers show so far this year. But I mean, this man has made 3 starts and he's averaging -3 DraftKings fantasy points per game. Like, I think he's averaging over 2 base runners allowed, whether walks or hits per innings pitch, which is just wild. The weather in Kansas City looks finally conducive to hitting. I'm seeing 75 degrees and winds out to left field against a really, really bad really bad Bubic in my opinion. So I don't mind DJ LeMahieu. Obviously can play him. Are we in second still? Yeah, second or third.
I like him as a second baseman too. Good call there.
Yeah, and then going same Yankees. I don't think I've recommended Gleyber Torres this year, or frankly very often throughout his career, but I just like the Yankees. He's 3,300 hitting fifth. I looked into him a little bit today. Underlying metrics look just fine. So yeah, if you need a punt, he looks good. The Luis Arias for the Twins, hitting second against Corey Kluber. A little bit of a trip down narrative street, but the Twins have played like all their games in just miserable weather this entire season, right? It's been so cold in the Midwest, and they've been playing at home in Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland. I can't remember exactly where they played, but just horrible weather, game after game. Playing in Tropicana in that dome is going to feel amazing for some of these hitters, I think. So Twins have been playing well despite it, hitting decently well despite it. Kluber doesn't have a fastball to speak of. He relies on getting chases outside of the zone, getting swings and misses, which Luis Arias never does. That's like his thing. So he's going to work the count in his favor and get a cookie fastball, most likely from Kluber, which he's probably going to make, which is going to square up, right? So I think he's interesting as well. But yeah, overall kind of a thin position here.
Syndergaard was just scratched.
Yeah, just saw that. I'm guessing probably a bullpen game most likely at this point, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything who it's going to be yet.
Yeah.
Well, you made it three. He made it 3 starts. Good job, Thor.
Illness. He has an illness.
Okay.
Could put the White Sox into play. We'll have to see who steps in and starts, but regardless, the total for the White Sox will be on the rise, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Third base, not a super strong position. I'll take this one away from Gary right now, so he doesn't even have to say it. Austin Riley is one of my favorite. I've been playing a lot of Austin Riley. I think he's actually a phenomenal player for DFS purposes and in real life. So Austin Riley, I think, is the clear play here. If Moustakas gets into the Reds lineup, 2.1K, he'll obviously garner some ownership. I think Devers is always a high upside play. We like this Bradish guy. We like Bradish because he's 4K. You can still play some Devers and Matt Chapman batting 6 for the Blue Jays should come in at some low ownership here. I like him as well. Justin Turner, though, man, he's been so bad. I don't know if maybe he's turning around the last couple of games, but he's been really bad and just looks bad at the plate. I don't know if I can go there, to be honest with you, as much as I like the Dodgers. DC, go to you. Talk to me about some of these third basemen.
Yeah, I mentioned Turner a few times over the last week being like the one Dodger I really don't want to play. You get to a certain point, you got to see something from somebody, right? Where you just, instead of banging your head against the wall. So yeah, I'm off Turner. I do like Riley. I mean, it's hard not to. I think he is certainly a top play. Definitely prefer Max Muncy over Justin Turner right now. Nolan Arenado. I mean, appealed the suspension. He's going to be in there against Bumgarner. I haven't looked at the BVP for Arenado against Bumgarner, but I'm guessing it's pretty good. Obviously, those guys, Arenado came obviously from the Rockies, so some of those games are in Coors Field, but they've faced each other a lot of times, and Bumgarner obviously on the decline at this point. So Arenado, I think, is a top bat. I like the Chapman call. I'll throw in Bobby Witt Jr. as well. I think some of these Kansas City guys are interesting. Nestor Cortez, base runners are 6 for 6 against him, stealing bases. Witt's got a lot of speed. And finally, some better hitting weather for Kansas City too, right? They've been off to a really slow start, but man, it's tough to hit in Kansas City when it's 45 degrees and the winds are blowing out in that big park. It's just brutal. Finally has changed today. I think what their first good hitting weather environment that they've had at home this whole season, I believe. So Bobby Witt Jr., maybe he can get it going as well. I don't see anyone super cheap at third base though that I'm willing to use. So yeah, kind of in that mid range if you want a Chapman and Witt, and then up top Arenado and Austin Riley. So those 4 guys mostly for me.
Yeah, the Reds lineup came out and basically what we figured. Drury is in there, 2.9K, second base, third base eligible. Moustakas is batting seventh. So those guys will probably get a good chunk of the ownership at third base. Gary, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, so I ran some things before the show in Saber, and I have about 60% of Nolan Arenado and Austin Riley combined. So, and then but down from there, I got some Bregman. I like some Ryan McMahon, Max Muncy, Matt Chapman, Bobby Witt, and then in Minnesota stacks. I mean, Gio Urshela, he's 2,700, and the dude. I mean, you look at his DraftKings log, 13, 2, 12, 10, 9, 7, 9. I mean, he's hitting really well right now, and he's only 2,700. I like the Twins a lot today, so he would be my cheap guy.
Yeah, I like that call. I mean, he continues just to be super cheap. And you look at the ownership between the Reds guys and a guy like Urshela. I mean, you're probably 30% on the Reds guys combined, and then Urshela is going to be like 2 or 3% owned on a 13-game slate. So, I mean, just easy pivots. I mean, that's the beauty of baseball, just simple, easy pivots. I mean, you don't have to dig deep to find the guy to pivot to. I mean, it's right there in front of your face. Like that call for sure. Let's head over to shortstop, and I think this clear spend here is Trey Turner, 5.3K, phenomenal play. I'll have a good chunk of him for sure. Kyle Farmer's batting fifth in that Reds lineup. He's going to be very highly owned. Outside of those two, though, I don't think there's anything ownership wise to be concerned with. I mean, there's those two, I think, soak up a majority of it. Bo Bichette is the pivot, I think, off of Trey Turner at 4.9K. Yeah, I don't see anything like super cheap that I'm all that interested in, depending on who starts for the Angels. Tim Anderson at 5K is a potential play. We'll have to see there. Gary, will stick with you. Thoughts here at shortstop?
Yeah, so one guy that sticks out to me, I'm going to stick with the theme, St. Louis, Paul DeJong. I like him. He's batting ninth. Nobody's going to play him. Looking at BVP here, he's 3 of 13 with 2 dongs off of Mad Bum. I definitely like him in your St. Louis stacks. Carlos Correa, I like him quite a bit. Dansby Swanson's also, I mean, another Brave. He's 2,800. He's heating up a little bit. He hit a bomb last night. I like him hitting ninth here. Another low-owned guy. Trey Turner's obviously the class of the position here. Will be most likely be the highest owned. I also like, I like these Toronto righties too. So Bo Bichette, definitely like some of him. And I mean, not much else from me on this position other than maybe some Jeremy Pena in Houston stacks.
Yeah. DC, what do you got here at shortstop?
Yeah, I like a lot of the guys, the same guys you mentioned. Trey Turner, again, the clear number one here. I think, if you can get him in there, that's a good move. But if you want to go up to Wander Franco, I think is a decent move. I know Dylan Bundy has been off to a pretty good start this year, but I'm not really buying that. And Bundy also a dude that definitely has home run issues. You can also run on him. Franco's got a couple stolen bases already on the year. And, I think legitimately one of the best hitters in baseball. In what I think is a pretty good matchup. I do prefer Franco slightly from the right side, but it looks like he's made strides as a left-handed hitter, switch hitter this year. So I do like Wander Franco quite a bit. A little bit of the same vein is Francisco Lindor, off to a pretty good start. You can run on Aaron Nola, and Nola's weakness is the home run ball. That's where you can beat him. Lindor flashing pretty good power. So couple pivots at the top, I think, directly away from Trey Turner if you want to get off what is pretty clearly going to be the most popular, expensive guy, at least at the position. And I'm interested. What is your approach to the Reds? Like, to me, do I really want to go down with a chalky Kyle Farmer, even if it is Coors Field? Not really, right? So you obviously play cash games as well, but I feel like relatively comfortable just fading the Reds and GPP and hoping for the best.
Yeah, so I'm more going to be playing GPPs, not a ton of cash games tonight. And so the thing, my mindset, we always talk about this, where 3 years ago, if you're playing MLB DFS, it's probably a situation that's tough to avoid because you just never saw super cheap guys in good lineup spots, in good ballparks. But now we've gone through this slate and there's a lot of cheap guys that you can go to. Like at outfield, there's a ton of cheap outfielders that we're going to talk about, where the Reds guys are going to get all the ownership, but there's tons of natural pivots that you can just go to. I'll admit I'm still going to play some of these Reds bats tonight. I'm a sucker for Coors Field. I'm going to do it. And I do think it is a 13 game slate. I don't think they come in as highly owned as people think.
Sure.
I mean, there's just never a team that is just super, super popular. Right? There's just too many other options out here.
They'll probably be the most popular overall team on the slate, though.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree with that. But like for me, like I'll play them, but try to find ways to get like a little bit different. Like maybe do a wraparound stack, play a guy like Nick Senzel, who's batting 8th, over maybe like a Tommy Pham, who's going to be super popular.
Yeah.
I won't be avoiding them. I'm still going to play these guys, but I'm going to find ways to get a little bit unique. But if you do want to fade them, I mean, the options are there. I mean, all over the place. And the best example of it is in the outfield position, which I guess is a great segue into the next position, because you look at the top, Tommy Pham and Naquin are going to be very popular. 2.7K, 2.9K, right in the middle or right in the heart of that order for the Reds in Coors Field. Easy to play them. But like I just mentioned, there's other guys, even on this team. Senzel at the bottom, same price tag, going to have a fraction of the ownership. We got our Braves guy who has already flashed some upside, hit the home run earlier this week, 2K leading off. Chas McCormick, 2.6K leading off. Adam Duvall, 2.5K batting 6. He's going to be low owned as well. The Yankees guy, LeCastro, 2K flat, batting 8th. Going to keep his ownership low. So there's other guys, especially at the outfield position, to go to. And, since we have all these cheap guys, I think spending up at the outfield position is also a way to look. And I really like Aaron Judge, Buxton, I think are phenomenal plays at this position. All these cheap guys here are going to keep the ownership down on the top guys. George Springer is another guy to add to that list as well. And then like the Rockies guys. So outfield, I think, is a truly dynamic position. I think a lot of different ways to go. We know where the chalk's going to land, the popular plays, we know who they're going to be. But there's some strong options here. Gary, thoughts here in the outfield?
Yeah, so I think most of my teams are going to be focused around like Minnesota, St. Louis, Atlanta, Toronto, Philly, maybe some Houston. So I'm looking at my saver exposures right now, and my highest owned guy right now is Byron Buxton. I like him a lot tonight. Like I said, I love the Twins. I think they keep it rolling here. And then going down to the St. Louis guy, Tyler O'Neill, going to have a ton of him tonight. And then the Braves guys, Marcell Ozuna and Travis Demeret. I have them probably about 25%. And then the Toronto guys I like a lot. Nick Castellanos I have up here quite a bit. I think he does some damage against Tyler McGill tonight. And then the Houston guys are always in play. Chaz, Jordan, Kyle Tucker. Definitely like those. And I'll obviously have some Duvall mixed in my Atlanta stacks as well. But those are kind of the main guys I'm looking at tonight.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of different ways to go here, obviously, if you want to spend or save. Reminder, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We got to get to 200. We're at 173. We've made our way through this pretty quickly. So if you want those plays of the day, you might want to pound that like button. We got to get to 200. DC, talk to me about some of the outfielders that you're interested in.
Yeah, two teams specifically stand out for me in the outfield. That is the Yankees against Bubic. I talked about him at a couple of different positions, but this matchup just looks so good for me for the Yankees. I don't love playing the Yankees in general, but with the weather turning in Casey and how bad he's been, this is a patient team. It's just hard for me to imagine Bubic pitching well here. Bullpen, the back end of it's okay for Casey, guys like Josh Stalmont and Scott Barlow, but the other guys aren't very good. And if they get to Bubic early, they're going to have good matchups all game long. So I really do like the Yankees. Judge over Stanton, but I like both. And then the Phillies, McGill, second highest price pitcher on the slate. Again, a guy I do like. I do think he's going to have a good year. But if you look at his numbers last year, obviously a much bigger sample size than just a few innings he has this year. He was shelled by left-handed bats, pretty reliant on the fastball against them. And the Phillies have a couple of guys who you want to target against a pitcher who can give up home runs, give up hard contact to lefties. You know who they are: Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, just massive power guys that are going to be near the top of the league in home runs at year's end. And yeah, I see no reason why you wouldn't like them against McGill. I think you'll get both those guys, sub 5% owned for Harper and Schwarber, for two of the best power hitters in baseball.
Yeah.
Sign me up. And I'm Buxton, as always. I will be pretty much every slate. And certainly Corey Kluber, not going to scare me off of that. I really do like the right-handed power against Jose Urquidy. So George Springer, another guy that you get low owned. You compare him with Vlad, with Bichette, if you want, with Collins. That Toronto stack, I think, is pretty spicy if you want to go that direction. And then, yeah, all the way down. Part of the reason why I'm fairly comfortable fading the Reds, like there are some slates where you feel like you're just giving up so much in the projection by fading Coors Field. Not this one, right? You can build so many lineups that you absolutely love without playing the Reds value. So it's easily fadeable to me. Tim LeCastro getting the start today for the Yankees. I think just his first or second start of the year, but he's running wild on the base pass, 3 steals already. Awesome matchup. I think New York's going to do damage in general. LeCastro 2K even, and then of course, how do you say it, Gary? Demerit. Yeah.
Demerit.
The Braves leadoff.
The 2K leadoff guy for the Braves. That's what we'll call him.
Yeah, playing the Ronald Acuna role, leading off for the Braves. Seems like a pretty good role to play.
They must like this guy. I mean, obviously, if they're willing to put him at the top, like Albies has been the leadoff guy, like to promote him right up to the top.
We were talking before the show. I mean, he has crushed it the last couple of seasons in the minors. Hasn't really gotten much of a chance. Braves have had a loaded outfield over the last couple of years, but has hit well so far when given a chance. Braves obviously like him. They're hitting him leadoff for a reason. He seems like a pretty great play. So plenty of options if you want to get away from the cheap cheap Reds guys who on initial look, they seem like sort of unfair, like, oh, these like 2.4K Reds guys on a 13 game slate. How could I get away? Well, we can list guys at every position that have just as much upside as those guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different options, especially the outfield. I mean, if you want to get off the popular Reds guys, you have like endless options at every price point. I mean, the position, it's always loaded, the outfield, but today I think there's just a lot of very, very strong options. So Castro, I mean, he hit a bomb too, and he's been stealing base. I don't know if he's a power guy, but anytime a guy can hit home runs and steal bases, that's the combination you look for. 2K flat, batting 8th. I mean, probably low ownership, obviously, because of the Reds situation tonight. So I really like him as a full punt play. So a lot of different ways to go. Did we get to the 197? I mean, come on, and we got we have porn sites, live cam girls in the chat. You'd love to see it. It's a great way to end the show. We got the bots showing up. All right, let's so we went through everything. Let's hop into the plays of the day. You got 197 on the likes. I'm sure we'll get 3 more before we get on out of here. We'll go to Gary first. Do you have a name for your play or what? Is it just like the Braves homer?
That's it. The Braves homer play of the day.
Yeah. Braves then.
Yeah.
Or the groundhog play of the day. It's
groundhog
one of the two
play.
Yeah.
Well, it depends if you're picking a Braves guy or not. No. We'll go with the groundhog play there. Who do you got for us?
I think the Braves are going to get a little ownership today, so I'm not going to pick a Brave as my play of the day. I will instead go to the Cardinals and Mr. Nolan Arenado. We should get him 5%, maybe less, 5 to 10%. I like him to hit a bomb here. Like the St. Louis Cardinals a ton. They are my top stack of the slate.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, the ownership on the Cardinals has been so low, especially when they're at home. People just don't like this ballpark. But man, these righties are in a phenomenal spot. And what do you think cumulative ownership, like Arenado, Goldschmidt, O'Neill, maybe like 7-8% lower?
I don't even know if it's going to be that much.
Yeah, I definitely like those guys. Tons of upside. I'll go to myself next for the rich parents play of the day. And Going with, I don't know how popular this guy will be. He's an outfielder. I think the ownership gets spread out, but I'm just so confident that he's hitting a bomb today that I have to go with him. And it's Aaron Judge. He's been hitting the ball well. 4 straight games, I believe, with multiple hits. I think Aaron Judge is going deep at least once today. So give me Aaron Judge as the Rich Parents play of the day. And then lastly, we travel to Mom's Basement for the Mom's Basement play of the day. Who do you got for us, DC?
They're coming, but Hoop, I need an executive call from you. You weren't on the show, I don't think, the other day. I had to go to a gender reveal party this past weekend, and we're debating changing the Mom's Basement play today. Listen, it's had a good run, but it's been about a year. Do you think we can swap out the Mom's Basement play of the day for the gender reveal party play of the day?
Ooh, that is tough. I mean, because you've been associated with Mom's Basement for so long. I mean, that's been a thing for so long. I'd almost feel like sad to see it go. I don't know. I
was on the fence. I wasn't sure I wanted to leave it. That's why we went to you for the executive decision. We're going to stick with the Mom's Basement.
We got to stick with it. I mean, that graphic's just too good. DC in the basement with the pizza rolls. I mean, it's like one of the best. I just don't think we can abandon it at this point.
And listen, at Run Pure Sports, we're not making $1 million a year from the YouTube shows. These are free.
Correct.
So, you know, we can't be asking the producers to create more graphics. Struggling as we are, a small shop.
Can't afford that.
At Run Pure Sports. So we will stick with the Mom's Basement play of the day. I'll stick with Gary's Cardinals, Tyler O'Neill. I think these Cardinals right-handed power bats are going to hit some bombs off of Mr. Bumgarner. So he's the hitter, but I always I got to give my overall favorite play of the day. That is Tanner Houck for the Red Sox, low owned. Going to strike out 10 Orioles and get a win in relief today. Tanner Houck and Tyler O'Neill, Mom's Basement plays of the day.
How many innings do you think Houck can go, or will he go?
So what I think will happen, Richo will pitch either 3 or 4 innings, perhaps less. So you could get rocked by the Orioles. Tanner Houck will come in immediately, and I think he will pitch like a full starter's workload. I think he's actually got a good chance to finish that game, go the 6 or 7 innings, go the distance, give the bullpen a day off. And Hoop, you'll like this. This man couldn't even travel to Toronto over the series, right? So they used him in relief because they knew he couldn't cross the border as an unvaccinated man. I looked him up on Twitter. He's getting all this shit from everybody saying he should get the loss for losses in Toronto. Now he's coming back. He's back with the team, and he's going to prove some haters wrong.
I'm sold. He just got added to the player pool. That's all you had to say. That's all you had to say. He's in. He's made the player pool. I was on the fence. Now I'm sold. So I'm definitely in on how. He has to be low on him. I think he's still labeled as out on DK, which, I mean, the ownership is that if there's one way to suppress a player's ownership on DraftKings, it's to tag them as being out. So can't imagine many people. Oh, he's not now. They've changed it from out to PLR. So still will be low on. There's no doubt about that. But that is going to do it here for us tonight on the MLB Swing for the Fences Run Pure Sports Show. We'll be back this weekend with our normal content and then full swing next week as well. So for Gary, for DC, I'm Hoop. Good luck tonight in your contest.